Hey everybody, it's Ron from Ron's Basement. Thank you, and you for joining me today. I got a quick video for you. I'm going to give you my kind of general thoughts on the price of gold, and then some thoughts on the gold, silver, precious metal mining equities, and then in specifically, then I will talk about my 3 or 4 major holdings for any of you that are interested in the stocks that I hold and my thoughts on those particular companies. So, yeah, 1800. It's becoming a magic number or a frustrating number. It just feels like for the longest time, the price of gold cannot get above 1800. Have you noticed that? Today is, I don't know, December 21st, 2021. Yet again, this morning, the price of gold went right up to 1800 and then got beat down to, I don't know, 1786, whatever the case may be. And hey, compared to 3 or 4 years ago, I guess we can be grateful. And the price is up significantly over a longer term time horizon. But boy, the last year and a half-ish, I don't know, especially it seems like the last 6 months, 1800, it feels like it just can't get through it. Now here, I'm going to share, there's no quantitative evidence behind what I'm about to say, okay? But I will share it with you. Because I had a vision, I don't know, last week one day, I look at the gold price way too often. I was looking at, usually I look at Kitco, but for this day I was looking at Yahoo Finance, and I clicked on gold and the little screen came up, and I swear I saw $2,400 gold like 3 or 4 months from now, okay? I actually saw it on my screen. I had a vision. I'm not saying it was on the screen, but I saw it on the screen. So I hope I'm right. I just had this like deep inner knowing that the price of gold was going to jump significantly and relatively soon. So we'll see if that comes true or not. Now, in regards to the gold mining stocks, yeah, it's been a crappy year. I think right now I'm down maybe, I don't know, 8% for the year. But when I look at like the GDXJ, if you kind of bought the GDXJ on January 1st and held it through today, you're down, I think, like 25%, maybe even a little bit more. I think on January 1st of this year, GDXJ got as high as $58 per share. And today it's hovering around 40. So if you divide 40 by 58, you've got 40/58 of your money that you had on January 1st, which I think is maybe even, like, I don't know, 68%, something like that. So if you've done anything better than losing 30% this year and you're significantly invested in gold mining stocks, you're doing okay. I don't like the feeling of losing money, or I haven't really lost, I guess you'd say, but of my investments being down. I piled back in more around late mid-year time frame, so I avoided some of the earlier carnage, but nonetheless, just being down is no fun, right? It's like when the Tesla stock owners or the Bitcoin owners, when everything it just goes up and up and up, everybody's happy and blah, blah, blah. Well, when it goes down and you suffer some even just paper losses, it's challenging. So hang in there, and maybe my vision will come true. Also regarding the mining stocks, this is tax loss selling season. That means a lot of people are selling their miners to recognize a loss so they can offset that loss against gains they may have had with other investments or equities. It's got to be real. I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories in the mining sector, especially regarding the price of gold and silver being manipulated. But I do think that pretty much for sure, it's pretty obvious that with a lot of these stocks that have had a rough year in the mining sector, people are now selling them so that they can recognize the loss during the calendar year 2021. So hopefully that pressure will be abated come January. I think it's inevitable. And, I've noticed some higher volumes in some of the stocks that I own. I just think people are, like I said, harvesting those losses for tax purposes. All right, let's move on and talk about several of the stocks that I own. If you're not interested in hearing about Equinox Gold, Fortuna Silver Mines, First Mining Gold, and I'll even talk briefly about Brixton, those 4 companies, then you can do yourself a favor and stop listening to me babble right now. But let's move on. Let's talk about Fortuna first. Great news yesterday. They'd had a permitting issue with their Mexican mine. That has been resolved. So the stock is beat down. It's selling, the market cap is selling, I don't know, maybe equal to the net tangible assets of the company, and they are making money. Here's what I think about now when I think about Fortuna. Okay, number one, great management. Jorge Ganoza and Carlos Bacas, the investor rep, those guys are, in my opinion, a grade A management team. Okay, but when I think about the assets they have, okay, they've got a great silver mine, one of the top, I've heard like 13 or 15 silver mines in the world in Mexico that is now fully permitted for 12 more years. A great asset with some real significant growth potential going forward. They've got a mine in Peru that they've had for a long time that's doing well, a small mine, but still they've got that mine. But they have the Lindero gold mine in Argentina, which just poured its first gold a little over a year ago. It's a remote mine, so it was hard to build under the best of circumstances. But with COVID and the travel restrictions in Argentina, they faced some serious challenges during the ramp-up phase of the last year. And they actually had to close the mine several times because of COVID outbreaks. So when I look at that mine, what I see is some great opportunity for a continued improvement. And it's doing pretty good right now, especially considering, like I said, that they had to ramp it up during the COVID outbreak. Now that they can get outside experts on site to help with issues, I think there's continued opportunity for improvement at that mine, and it's doing pretty good to begin with. The other thing exciting about Fortuna is their African operations. They get like no value for that at this point. It's crazy. But those operations are doing well, and there's expansion plans for a new mine there also. Equinox Gold, another company with what has to be one of the best management teams in the market. And it's not just me saying that. Ross Beatty, Christian Milau, Greg Smith, just really a top-notch group of managers. And I don't know, it's just a company that's, for me, easy to feel good about. And they are like Fortuna. They're trading at like half of their 52-week high right now, and trading like at a market cap that's like equal to the net tangible assets of the company. They have a big mine in Mexico. They acquired from Leagold about a year and a half ago, right as COVID hit. So they've had this giant mine in Mexico, and over the last year and a half, they had to deal with COVID shutdowns and several blockades by employees. The blockade issue has been rectified, and things seem to be running smooth there for the last, 6 months or even longer. So again, an opportunity for real improvement at that mine. This is really feels like the first time where they're getting some consecutive quarters where they can run the mine. And it's, I'm not a mining guru, but it's the type of mining that when they have to shut down, either for COVID or for blockade or whatever, they can't just switch it back on. It's a big heap leach, I believe, operation. So there's like a small shutdown can have a big impact on production at that mine. Their Brazil operations are doing really well, and they are getting ready to open a brand new mine in Brazil, probably like any week, any day now. They've got a giant mine that they just started construction on up in Canada. So that's awesome. And, it's going to be a year and a half or so, or 2 years, but nonetheless, it's going to be one of the bigger mines in Canada producing gold. And then they have their U.S. operations, Castle Mountain in California, which are doing well. And there's solid long-term plans for expansion there also. First Mining Gold. They own a big chunk of Big Ridge Mining and a Newfoundland development operation. Pickle Crow, they own a big chunk of via an investment now in Agnico, an Australian company. That's doing very well. And they own about 15% of Treasury Metals. All three of those projects that First Mining kind of partnered out, different arrangements, all of them are in Canada. They all are doing well and are moving along. First Mining also has royalties on all those projects, in addition to some other royalties. First Mining also still owns 100% of the Cameron project, which is a Canadian 1 million ounce project, and has a group of properties in Quebec, that combined have about another 1 million ounces. So, wow, look at all that. That's awesome, huh? Seems like, and then they have a bunch of cash. I mean, that alone seems like a pretty exciting opportunity. But then there's like the actual First Mining Gold flagship project, Spring Pole. It's a 5 million ounce project, just starting the permitting process. They've got an awesome team of people working on that, led by Steve Lines. They just hired a VP of Exploration, Mr. Maxwell. They've also expanded their land package. And did I forget to mention, Keith Neumeyer last week bought 750,000 more shares of First Mining Gold. Keith Neumeyer, the legendary mining executive who actually is the chairman of the board and the founder of the company. So lots of exciting things. I mean, it's unbelievable. And don't forget, those projects are all in Canada. And while I love Equinox and I love Fortuna and I love the cash flow and those companies are generating, their mines are kind of spread out all over the world. So there's some geopolitical risks these days. Whereas when you look at a developer like First Mining Gold, if you're going to have a developer and take that risk, hey, why not have it in like a really great jurisdictional area, which is Canada? Which leads me to my final stock, which I will mention briefly, Brixton Metals. Brixton, I think about their Hog Heaven project, which they've joint ventured with Ivanhoe Electric. It's a $44 million project. When I think of that, and what is Brixton's 25% of that worth? Well, kind of like a third of what Ivanhoe is committed to put into it if they do follow through with everything, which to me would be about a third of $45 million, which would be $15 million. That's just my funky math. Don't base anything on that. The other exciting properties, and that's a kind of a gold, silver, copper project. And copper is becoming more and more interesting these days. When we head up to Canada, we have Atlan, north of the Golden Triangle. They also have their Thorn project, which has they have massive copper gold projects up in the Golden Triangle area that they've been drilling. They drilled some this year with some good results. We're waiting on one last batch of drill results from Brixton, but they've got this massive gold copper silver district that they're developing. And Ian Ball, who's a director, just bought a bunch of stock in Brixton. Gary, the CEO, owns a bunch of stock. Eric Sprott owns a bunch of stock. Ivanhoe Electric owns a bunch of stock. Rob McEwen owns a bunch of stock in Brixton. So they got a pretty good register of stockholders. And I guess we'll just kind of see where things go with that. Oh, one more thing about Brixton. They also have a silver cobalt project, Langus, which is in Canada. And if you look at the price of cobalt, it's kind of been creeping up there. So who knows what might happen with that. I also like their exploration geologist, Christina. I've heard her talk a few times, and it seems like whenever I hear people mention her, it's always in a very positive light. So anyway, there you have it, folks. Thanks for watching. Hang in there. I know this has not been easy days to be an investor in the precious metal mining sector, but hopefully 2022 will present us with my visioned $2,400 gold price and the associated substantial increase in the value of precious metal mining equities.